How is it going, my heroes, my villains, and everybody in between? Sean Ross here, and welcome back, guys, to another live reaction to My Hero Academia. We are on manga chapter number 310, entitled Masters and Pupil.
The younger brother decided to entrust this new quirk to future generations. Even though he couldn't defeat All for One, he hoped One for All would continue to grow in power until it was strong enough to stop his older brother. And you're next.
If I'm doing this, I'm giving it my all! I know you'll have my back!
And it looks like we might be getting some more conversations between Deku and the Vestiges based on that title, and that has me pretty excited. Though I am very curious to see where we are going to go moving forward, because coming off of last chapter, we flashed back to Deku's time at the hospital, where both him and All Might explained to Deku's mom not only the secret of One for All, but how Deku is not going to be returning to UA, and he's going to try to hunt down and pursue and stop All for One and Shigaraki. This right here will be Deku's mission moving forward. Luckily, he doesn't have to do it all by himself, because he's going to have All Might there by his side supporting him, as well as having Endeavor, Hawks, and Vestiges following a safe distance behind him as he tries to pinpoint and find Shigaraki's location.
Let's go get this son of a bitch.
And with everything that transpired during the war arc, this five-man squad is ready and prepared to settle the score with the League, and I'm just excited to see where we go with them moving forward. So, mount ladies and gentle criminals, without further ado, let's dive right into chapter 310, and let's kick this chapter off with a brand new color page.
Tomura Shigaraki, the other heroes and I have come so far to stop you. So that's what I'm gonna do! The fight ends here!
Yo! This color page right here looks amazing. We see our boy Deku front and center, stanced up in front of this apocalypse red sky while donning his post-war getup. He's wearing Gran Torino's cape, he's got his backpack, and on his arms you can see the red mid-gauntlets equipped, which are the same color as Melissa Shield's full gauntlets. And then within Deku's mask, you can just see his bright green eye shining through like All Might.
Oh my goodness!
This is an amazing color page to kick off the chapter, and I can't wait to see what the rest of the chapter has in store for us. And on the first page, it looks like we are kicking things off with a dark and stormy night over Japan. We just see the wind blowing and the rain coming down over this city.
Let's do this.
As a few citizens, taking out their support items, are currently attacking something off panel, and one of them is yelling, "You monster!"
Run! Everybody run! Monster!
What the fuck? Say?
You've got it all wrong. Please, leave me alone.
Come back when you can put up a fight.
And these citizens are so terrified, they are attacking what looks like an innocent person just walking in the rain. Which, if that's the case, why is someone walking around in the rain at night with everything currently going on in Japan? Not the smartest thing to do, and a bit dangerous. Hey! But we see this fox-looking woman throw her umbrella to the side and puts her arms up, trying to defend herself. I haven't done anything wrong. I'm just scared. Please, stop. Yeah, right. You're trying to get us to drop our guard and then you'll strike. No!
Target's acquired.
As she has tears in her eyes, this one citizen is equipped with like a Metroid arm cannon and is getting ready to launch a charge beam attack.
Time to go.
problem here, gentlemen?
Yo! Our boy Deku coming to the rescue right here. Let's go.
Know my power.
And the best part about this is that Deku came out of nowhere, Leroy Jenkins style, to just kick this charged energy blast away from the Fox Lady and saved her life. Damn, Deku. He jumped in there very similar to when he smashed Spinner's gigantic sword.
Mandalay! Koda! He's safe!
He came in like a bullet, feet first. Way to go, Deku. And as Deku goes flying, we see him grabbing on and spinning around a light post to come sliding back into view, and he is trying to defuse this situation. Please, calm down. I understand that it's a stormy night and everyone's on edge, but this woman is not a threat to anyone. And we see Deku placing his hand on the scared Fox Lady's arm as we see the armed citizens kind of freezing in place, hearing what Deku is saying,
Run.
and then all of them just dash down a dark alleyway. Yeah, well, she shouldn't wander around in the dark looking like that.
What did you say?
Really? Emphasis on her looking like that. So they attacked her because her appearance scared them. This is going to be the first of many occurrences Deku will witness, because I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of instances of armed citizens attacking innocent people just because that person's quirk made them look scary or made them look villainous. This just goes to show how the fear in Japan is continuing to grow, but it's a good thing that Deku arrived when he did to defuse this situation and save this lady. And I like this panel shot of Deku just staring down the alleyway, making sure that all of those people are gone. Ooh, but now we have the Fox Lady talking with Deku. I was slow to evacuate. This town didn't experience any major upheaval at first, so I just hid at home and waited for it all to blow over. But people started getting hurt here and there, and I was scared. I thought I should take shelter at a hero school, so I ran out into the night, and well, I'm sorry. Everything turned so horrible so fast. Aw, Deku.
I'm very poppin', y'all!
As we have the Fox Lady crying and apologizing for what she did, for what she caused, we have Deku using float to get up to her level, holding onto her umbrella and sheltering her from the rain.
If you have to save someone, that means they've probably gone through something terrifying. They'll be frightened. Remember that real heroes don't just save lives. They save a person's heart, too.
I love this panel right here. It's these small gestures that Deku is able to do that just goes to show how good of a hero he is and how good of a hero he is going to become. And then we see Deku hand the umbrella back to her as he goes floating back down. I bet everyone else is just as scared. I wonder if it'll ever all go back to normal. I'll make it so. Huh? Wow, bold statement there, Deku. Basically letting her know, leave it to me. I will make sure everything goes back to normal. I will restore everything. Sorry, but I'd better get going.
Come.
And as Deku just goes floating into the darkness, we see some headlights come into view, which I'm guessing this is All Might driving up.
Come with me if you want to live.
Yup, and we see the All Might mobile stopping in front of the woman with All Might getting out. Are you okay, miss? All Might, could you get her to a shelter? I can't afford to be around anyone. All Might? Huh? And this woman got so lucky. Not only was Deku able to save her, but now she's about to be escorted to the nearest hero shelter by the former symbol of peace. And it looks like All Might is yelling back to Deku, hang on, take this. There's tonkatsu in there to keep your spirits up. And All Might prepared a box lunch for Deku right here. He wants to make sure he's not patrolling the streets on an empty stomach.
Lunch! You wanna eat with me?
That story
You gotta love All Might. He may have arrived in a Batmobile, but he is acting like Alfred for Deku in this moment, and that is pretty cool. And then you can see Deku smiling from underneath his mask and thanking All Might. Thank you. It'll spoil before long, so eat up.
Revelry in the dark.
Yo, look at this panel shot right here. Deku is going full-on Batman right here, just brooding on top of a skyscraper as he's surveying the city that he has sworn to protect as the rain is coming down.
I am vengeance. I am the night. I am Batman.
Bat Deku is in full effect right now, and I love getting to see it. It's like we've slid back in time to darker days.
Hello there.
Ooh, but now we see the vestige of Banjo appearing alongside Deku, and he too is surveying the city landscape, checking out the situation, waiting with bated breath, hoping not to stand out, just like back during the advent of the exceptional. Shigaraki, All for One, Dabi, those Nomu, the League. We still don't have any leads on any of them. The authorities don't even have the manpower to properly follow up with the escaped convicts, so the investigation's going nowhere. Yup, the world's easy pickings for the bad guys. And now we see Deku taking off his mask. With All for One's quirk transplanted into Shigaraki, he was too strong for us to bring down even with Endeavor's and Aizawa-sensei's help. Unless I draw out One for All's full power, I can't stop any of this.
The entire purpose of One for All is to defeat All for One. As its holder, you may one day have to fight against this great evil yourself. Because I've failed.
This is gonna work, Steve.
I know it will. Because I don't know what I'm gonna do if it doesn't.
Deku is just seeing the situation, the status and society of Japan just continuing to fall back into the dark days of the past. And he's like, I need to get the full power of One for All under control, because if I can't, then nothing will be able to stop All for One and Shigaraki. But man, I just love these shots of Deku just staring out at the city landscape with the white border around his silhouette. It looks awesome. Now, play nice, you two. You have to cooperate with our successor. Wait a minute. Are we flashing back to the Vestige dream?
Flashback.
It's time! Oh my God! Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm. What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure? Stay calm! Wait. Everybody calm down!
It's about to go down.
Inside the One for All realm, before Midoriya woke up. Finally, we are flashing back to the One for All conversation. This is what I have been looking forward to. Let's go. So are we finally going to get the reveals on the second and third user? Are we going to learn their quirks, or at least see what their faces look like? I hope that is the case. He needs your help to unleash his full power. I implore you, my heroes. And we are back at the moment when the first user stood up out of his chair, turned around, and began to speak to the second and third user as they were staring at the wall, but we still have no response coming from the second and third as they ignore the first.
So who talks first? You talk first? I talk first?
Well, this is awkward.
That's it! The MC and me can't take it anymore!
And you just have this silence come over the Vestige realm. Just an awkwardness coming over all the past users as they are staring at the second and third are like, what's your deal? Why aren't you speaking? What's your problem? And we could just see Nana beginning to wipe her tears away after she was crying and thanking Deku.
Loud noises!
Of course. Out of all the past users, the first one to break the awkward silence was of course going to be Banjo. You see him yelling over at Deku, "Kiddo, how about you catch up on some other quirks in the meantime? Especially Shinomori's and En's. That way, you can visualize them better when you wake up. And you see Banjo rushing over to Deku and playfully jabbing away at his ghostly body. And En is just watching Banjo do this, and he's like, what the hell are you doing, Banjo? But En says, that's not the worst idea.
And here we
go. But now the third user is beginning to speak right now. We lived through the harshest era. The height of All for One's prosperity, an era when his control spread unchecked. Hello. And there it is. We have the face reveals on the second and third user. And looking at the third, he doesn't look like anyone we have seen before. But...
You what?
Looking at the second, I would be lying if I said he did not look like Katsuki Bakugo.
So, my eyes are correct.
The hair, the eyes, the way the face looks overall, he looks like Bakugo. But I know it's not him. If anything, I can see him being one of Bakugo's ancestors. Maybe way back in Bakugo's family tree, this guy existed. But there's no way it's Bakugo. And the big difference we have on the second user compared to Bakugo is that he has this gigantic scar going down his entire face.
It's a bad scar. Looks painful.
Which I'm curious on how he got that scar. My best guess is probably fighting back against All for One, but we'll probably find out how he obtained it. Those who were under his control didn't even realize it, but our leader had misgivings about the future. In order to strike back against All for One's control, he gathered allies and fought. So the second user was like the leader of an All for One resistance group, fighting back against All for One's tyranny. And I'm guessing the third user was either a subordinate of this group, or maybe even the right-hand man of the second user. So these two fought alongside one another, trying to take down All for One. You were there with us. You saw it all. Yoichi. And now we know the first name of the little brother. His full name is Yoichi Shigaraki. And we have Yoichi replying back saying, yeah, I sought to bring down your brother and extinguish so many lives in the process. Because in our battle, victory meant life and defeat meant death. Oh, and that bloody panel says it all right there. The second and the third user had to kill so many people in their war against All for One. They have a lot of blood on their hands, and based on his mentality of you win by living or you lose by dying, it makes sense why they aren't jumping to support Deku. They're like, you poor naive child. You have no idea how much blood is on our hands in trying to take down the ultimate evil of All for One. And yet you want us to support this boy that wants to save the ultimate evil? It doesn't make sense to the second or third user.
Listen!
But we see Deku talking with Shinomori and En about how to use their quirks most likely when he wakes up. Now, you tell us to devote our efforts to one who wants to save our mortal enemy, a boy holding on to such ridiculous delusions. Exactly what I just said. A ridiculous delusion? Such a sad way to see it. Then tell me this, why on that day, knowing full well of my ties to your mortal enemy, did you reach out to me? Yo, that callback right there.
There are stories about every hero, how they became great. Most have one thing in common. Their bodies moved before they had a chance to think, almost on their own.
Are you alright? Are you hurt?
I couldn't just stand there and watch you die.
You gotta love a parallel from the past that repeats itself in the future. We see the second user lending a helping hand to Yoichi when he knows full well that he is related to All for One. He knew that when he bust into All For One's compound and kicked open the vault door to reveal Yoichi sitting right before him. But yet, despite all that, despite seeing the brother of his mortal enemy, he lent a helping hand anyway and tried to save him out of this prison, out of his hell.
Come with me if you want to live.
And if you look at the second user, he doesn't have the scar on his face yet when he came to save Yoichi. So he probably didn't get it after fighting All For One just yet. Our battle never could have begun if you hadn't taken me from this room on that day. Besides, what choice do you have now? You know this is the only way, which is why you've chosen to appear here in the first place, right? And the first user is just calling these two out right now. He knows they didn't have to appear during their conversation with Deku, but the fact that they did means that they wanted to listen in on the conversation and that they might be willing to help out Deku moving forward based on what they hear. Can that boy really bring an end to all of this? Yes, One For All emerged from the will to resist my brother, but
Know my power.
The moment you reached your hand out to me was when One For All was truly born.
The younger brother decided to entrust this new quirk to future generations. Even though he couldn't defeat All For One, he hoped One For All would continue to grow in power until it was strong enough to stop his older brother. And so the stockpiling ability merged with the younger brother's power. And that is how One For All came to be.
It all started with the lending of a helping hand. But I'm wondering if he means in this exact moment, One For All was transferred from the first to the second. I don't think that's the case because usually it's transferred through the DNA from one user to the other. But all this is basically saying is that someone saved him and lended him a helping hand, and because of that, the passing of the torch of the relay race that is One For All began in this moment between the first and the second user.
End of flashback.
And it looks like we are now coming out of the flashback, going back to Deku on top of the skyscraper. Listen up, boy. Things are bound to move more quickly from here on out. Right. Yo, this right here is an epic looking panel shot right here. As Deku is taking the food out of his lunchbox that All Might prepared for him, you see all of the One For All vestiges appearing behind him, and Deku is aggressively taking an epic chomp out of his food, which is on the same levels as the potato chip from Death Note.
I'll take a potato chip and eat it.
You gotta make eating food look epic in this moment right here, because the moment deserves it. But man, I love this panel shot right here showing all of the vestiges of One For All fully behind Deku, because that's what it's basically saying. Deku now has the full support of all of the One For All users. You see the second, the third, Banjo, Nana, Shinomori, En, All Might, and Yoichi all behind Deku moving forward as they track down and locate where All For One and Shigaraki currently are. Yo, that is the end of this chapter. Next chapter hits May 9th.
It's a sacred torch. One person improves the power, then hands it off to another person. It continues to grow as it's passed along. It is this cultivated power that allows me to save those who are in need of a hero, the truth behind my strength. And you're next.
You're the ninth wielder, right? Don't be afraid. You are not alone.
So it looks like we are getting a week break until we come back with chapter 311. Man, that sucks that we're going on break, but I'm at least happy with the moment we are leaving off of with the events of this chapter. And I am loving everything that we are getting with Deku moving forward. I'm loving Deku's new design. I love his mindset moving forward, and I love how he is communicating back and forth with the past users of One For All. But with this chapter, I love the color page that we got, and I loved getting to see Deku rescuing that fox lady from those armed civilians, and then seeing All Might doing the best that he can to keep up with Deku, but trying to make sure that Deku is well fed and isn't working on an empty stomach. All Might is doing the best he can, and I love seeing being his Alfred to Deku's Batman. But the rest of this chapter gave us the flashback to the rest of the One For All conversation that we have all been waiting for, and it did not disappoint. We got the reveals on the second and third users. We now know what their faces look like and somewhat of their backstory and how they are kind of related to the first user, Yoichi Shigaraki, but we didn't learn what their quirks are. But the ending of this chapter is at least showing now Deku has the full support of all the past users of One For All, and just as they said, things are bound to move more quickly from here on out, and that has me very excited. I can't wait to see Deku learn the new quirks of the second and third user, and to see where we go next on Deku's journey. So with that, guys, that right there is my live reaction to chapter 310 of My Hero Academia. But for now, I definitely want to hear your guys' thoughts on the events of this chapter, and what you guys thought about the first half of this chapter dealing with Batman Deku saving that Fox lady from the armed civilians, and then the back half of this chapter returning to the One For All conversation where we learned more about the second and third user, and what do you guys think their quirks are going to be once they get revealed? Leave your thoughts down in the comments below, and feel free to subscribe to the channel and click that bell icon that you guys can be alerted for every new MHA reaction that pops up on the channel. But if you guys want to talk about other things or talk about MHA outside of YouTube, feel free to also follow me over on Twitter. A link to my Twitter account can also be found in the description down below. That's going to do it for me here, guys. So in 2 weeks' time, when we have chapter 311 of My Hero Academia, I'll talk to you guys next time. But remember, go beyond plus Ultra!